when Mark was on the programme, he would always save the bits that he knew people wanted to listen to until later. So we'll do Leeds in Crisis in a bit.
Again.
reprise.
We could start with St Helens and Leigh.
Yeah, I mean, that was an exciting game.
Because I did think that was a really good game and an indication of what we might be able to expect in the playoffs in terms of its intensity. Never lessened for the full 80 minutes. Bit of controversy at the end. The Tom Briscoe no try. Could have given us a different outcome. But I enjoyed every minute of it. I thought it was a fabulous game. Couldn't take your eyes off it.
I think it was encouraging for Leigh as well, because some of their performances post Wembley have been a little bit disappointing, haven't they? And actually, that was a sign of when it comes to the crunch, it's going to be those playoff games, and they can certainly match with St Helens. I know they didn't win at the end of the day, but
that was without John Asiata as well, who we know has been.
I think if you're a Leigh fan, you probably come away, whilst they didn't get the win, you come away encouraged that your season's not necessarily over.
Lamb said that, didn't he? He said, I loved that, and that we're exactly where I want us to be in terms of our intensity and level of performance, and they could have nicked it at the end.
Entertaining game from start to finish. Could do with less of Derek Beaumont every time Leigh do something. I think Sky needs to ease up on that. Not interested in seeing him jumping up and down in all his histrionics, but as you say, brutal. Is this why we say playoff intensity? Was it just a notch below that, perhaps?
I think it was playoff intensity.
Good.
Yeah.
And I also think that it highlighted, if anybody is going to get Saints, and let's not beat around the bush, they know how to win playoff games and grand finals.
It's like they were Leeds.
So to rule them out would be ridiculous. But the one thing they didn't have, I didn't think, was an absolutely dominant pack. Because they haven't got Walmsley and Parsley in particular, and Cyranin. So the guys where you rotate them and they're relentlessly powerful, they can't do that. They've got to play it a little differently. And I thought it showed that they probably were a little bit vulnerable in that area. But Leigh were great. Leigh were fantastic.
Yeah, I regretted carrying on doing work whilst watching the game because I just couldn't watch the game properly enough because I was still working, but because it deserved my full attention, that game.
Well, the Saints chocolate kit deserved your full attention.
Yeah, two interesting kits, weren't they?
little clash maybe, or darkish.
I think they were alright.
If you were watching black and white, you might.
Yeah. But anyone still have a black and white telly? Some of our listeners probably do, actually.
But actually, when you look at the league table, Old KR are on 5th now on 28 points, Leigh on 30 in 4th. So they probably only need to win one game. I don't know the points. What's the points difference like?
And they are playing
80 for Leigh and 35 for Old KR.
Yeah, so I think. But that's what I was just going to say. With Leigh playing Wakefield at home this week, and then home to Wakefield and at home to Wigan, they don't necessarily need to win that Wigan game, do they?
No, they just need to.
Just around.
It'll be interesting to see though what they do with that final game of the season, won't it? Because we know that they don't have a big squad. We know what they did on the semi-finals. The week before the semi-finals of the Challenge Cup, they played the full strength. So that would point to them probably playing the full strength.
Well, it might be that Wigan need to win that to win the League Leaders Shield. So do you sit there and go, we don't want to play our limited hand too early, so enjoy yourself, Wigan.
It'll be interesting.
But we need to get to that week because there's still some issues. I mean, we don't know yet who is in the 6 for sure. We don't know who's finishing 4th and getting a home tie. We don't know who's winning the League Leaders Shield because all 3 of them still have a chance. You'd have to say the way Wigan are playing at the moment, they would be favourites, rightly so.
Wigan play Castleford at home this week, don't they? And then are away at Leigh. So.
But it's just that they've only conceded 1 try in the last 3 games, and whilst their attack is clearly on song, it's the defence that you should be looking at this time of the season.
Yeah. There'll be historic documents on Friday because in lieu of you've got the last game at odds on things. That'll be the last programme for a Wakefield game in Super League because Wakefield don't do them. So Leigh do them. So stock up on them.
Leeds do it. So Leeds got Castleford at home last round. So that'll be the.
I mean, just on Wigan, they probably benefited because they played Hull KR the week before. They played the final, didn't they? So that was a bit of a gimme. And then they played Leigh the week after the Challenge Cup. So they probably benefited a little bit from that.
James Bell was outstanding, says Tony.
He was.
Paul says he's been outstanding all season. Maybe could win Man of Steel. He's not going to win Man of Steel.
I'll tell you what, there's a few candidates. The great thing is that there isn't one obvious standout. There's about 6 really obvious standouts, and I don't envy who's going to end up choosing that. Because Bevan French again gave a masterclass.
Well, ultimately it comes down to the points, the cumulative points, doesn't it?
Mm.
So it isn't a decision as such, is it? As far as I understand, it's just
well,
whoever's top of the table.
I think it's. Do they still have to have a little panel convened to
I don't
say?
know. My assumption was it's just a league
Depends on who wins
table.
it.
It's a league table, and it's where you finish at. If you finish at the top. So,
but no, I think Lachlan Lamb's been fantastic this year. French has been brilliant. So yeah, Bell would.
See, Bell can't win it because all the points will go to Wellesby.
Well, Wellesby has been amazing this year. As, he probably is ready to graduate from Young Player of the Year to Man of Steel.
NRL. So keep throwing that in until it happens, and I can go. I told you so. Like I know anything.
There were some rather exciting games in there this weekend in their first round of the playoffs, but we'll get to that with the help of British assistant coaches
and Dom Young.
players.
Dom Young
Wakefield's own Dom Young
was magnificent.
But the WF12 postcode derby is back on next year, says Andrew. Look on the bright side. Come on, you Rams. I mean, it's all going on in the Championship, isn't it, next year? Batley, Wakefield and Tuesday. I mean, I'm saying Wakefield are down. They are down, aren't they? I mean,
yes.
It's going to take some collection of miracles.
It's going to take them to win a game away from home, which they haven't done all year. And it's going to take Castleford to lose both of theirs. But I don't see much changing. I think 4 points with 4 to play for it's too much. This weekend was the one, unfortunately for me, that Wakefield got relegated.
Yeah, that we said, didn't we, last week, that game that Castleford had was a massive game for them, and I think that'll get them home now. And
I know we're jumping about a bit, but Wakefield scored their points very late in the game against Catalan, and it looked as it was going to be their 7th game of the season without scoring. And again,
still not broken that record.
That's not going to change in the next 2 weeks.
I mean, that is the thing now, isn't it? Because it is over. Just break the record. You may as well get a record out of it because
What? Don't score in either of the last 2 games.
Where's Betfred? What's the odds Betfred? I don't think. I mean, I've not seen the game. I wasn't there, but I don't think there's anything you need to say about Catalan's beat Wakefield and done in the first half.
I think Catalan's needed to
after the
get over the 2 defeats that they've had. I don't think they played as well as they're going to need to if they're serious about either winning the League Leaders' Shield or getting to Old Trafford. But you have to put a stop to something, so they'll be happy with that. They've got a relatively easy game this weekend, but I don't know. I think relegation is done. I don't know. I don't know where Wakefield go from here because David Fafita's already left. Apparently, there's 3 or 4 players that have been earmarked for other teams. We don't even know if there's a parachute payment for next year, do we? Because the new TV deal will kick in and there's less money.
We're going to watch football now because 1,000 people watched that Wakefield Holborough game on Saturday.
That's only because you mentioned it on here.
Yeah, obviously. Phil says, does anyone really care about winning the League Leaders' Shield? Well, Castleford did. They did. Saints, after being pilloried on this programme for just doing that.
But I think this is a conversation we've had every year this comes up, and saying what we need to do is name it after somebody and make it prestigious, because it's only not because we don't make it such. If it was in Australia they have the JJ Gilton and Shield. He was a great administrator from the very early days. That was one of the people that ensured that Rugby League was being played.
Is that their League Leaders' Shield?
Yeah.
But I've never heard of it.
And it's massive. It's like
so for Super League then,
enormous.
If we're naming it after an administrator synonymous with Super League, James knows where I'm going with the Maurice Lindsay Shield. There you go.
I thought it was the Steve Ganson Shield.
I thought you were going to say Nigel Wood.
No.
But if you seriously, if you want to name something after Rob Burrow, for example,
because we're not going to change the man of the match at the grand final. We bang on about this all the time.
If you invested in the League Leaders' Shield, his name, it's a much more prestigious thing overnight. And talking to Matt Pete on Saturday, when he was trying to claim that the team had a difficult game, very unpredictable team league, especially when they hold the ball. He was talking about how important it was to him that they won the League Leaders' Shield, and it's a measure of consistency that top of the league means a lot to them. That how they perform in the next 2 games, he thinks is vital to take into the playoffs. He wasn't dismissing the fact that coming top meant something. He was saying that he actually wanted it. Now, again, it's only us that say it's a hubcap and it doesn't mean anything, because the game itself hasn't invested in it that it's a major prize.
I take your point. I mean, if you named it after somebody with merit, then it probably raises it a level. But ultimately, still, the season boils down to the grand final, doesn't it? And winning that.
But try and tell Huddersfield in 2013 and Castleford in 2017.
Yeah, but it means more to
looking
a club,
back.
Yeah, it means more to a club that haven't had success, as it were, on that stage.
Yes. So it's not going to happen. But let's say Leigh managed to accrue enough points to win the League Leaders' Shield. How good would that be for a club like Leigh? Yes, it would be very important.
Second League Leaders' Shield for Adrian Lamb.
But I'm using that as an example.
Well, I know.
That clearly for clubs that win it incessantly, it might not have the same kudos unless it is named after someone where.
People are very difficult though to win the League Leaders' Shield because you have to be consistent in order to win it. So for a club that has not won it before to win it is almost more of an achievement in a way.
So what do we need to do? Make it a 5-team playoff, which means that the team that wins the League Leaders' Shield gets the week off.
Just for me, don't tinker with stuff.
Well, leave stuff as it is. We've had 5.
I know, but we talked about
that. And they're very competitive. But do you do something like that to make the League Leaders' Shield more valuable? That only one team gets a material advantage. It's almost like getting the immunity pin in MasterChef.
The easiest way to do it is put money on the table.
All right.
If you win a load of money for winning the League Leaders'
20
Shield,
grand for winning the League
20 grand. Probably needs to have £200,000 attached to it.
This is rugby league.
Yeah. And if you put money behind it, then it has kudos.
Grand behind the bar.
Yeah.